We get one functional primary health care in our ward. And primary health care also the government agency is supposed to provide monitoring, medications and vaccines. And the rest, 50% that comes to the NHS is actually very clear. What do we do with what are we supposed to do? When our people go to the primary health care clinic and they get billed, any guys are supposed to pay more tax. This federal government populated so much money into this one for the very first time. Those who cannot, these are vulnerable. For the very first time in Nigeria, you will see the level of coverage in the informal sector going up for the very first time. All along all these years, we've been covering the formal sector. Now we are covering, we need to cover the those who cannot afford to pay. And as the Act says, it's not only the contributions of federal government, but other development partners can also contribute. And I'm happy to report the Gates Foundation and Global Fund have also put money into this. They are as excited, if not more excited, than we are, because they know the difference this fund will make in the lives of our people. We're all very excited. So, it is very clear. This government has allocated the full 1% of the consolidated revenue into this fund to cover our vulnerable Nigerians across all 6 geopolitical zones. We in the NHIS, the gentleman up front has already said, the ministry has formed a national steering committee composed of the leadership of the ministry, the 2 implementing agencies, NHIS and primary healthcare, development partners, civil society organizations. They form the board of this fund so that we, the implementing agencies, we have people looking over us and making sure this money is utilized properly. And we also have our elected representatives in the House and the Senate who will also oversight how this money is going to be spent. For us, the NHIS, what we have been doing, for the very first time, we have been working very closely with our sister agency, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, to work and come up with a unified package, costed package. And we've been working very hard over the weeks and we've come up with one. In the NHIS too, I formed a committee. Over the last several weeks, we've been working very hard to see how do we in the NHIS implement this properly. Our watchwords are clear, that this fund, under my leadership, will be treated with very clear goals. And our goals are, there has to be transparency, we must be able to account for every penny that comes in here. And we must be equitable. It does not mean because states like Kano that are larger have 44 local governments, Gombe has 11 local governments, and Bayelsa has 8 local governments, and Kano will start everything. We will make sure that this thing is spread equitably across each of the 6 geopolitical zones. But most importantly for us, this money must reach the front line. Where is the front line? We are not going to give this money through any third party. We will make sure this primary healthcare clinic gets the money that they are due, not through any third party that will not get that money across. But most importantly for us, we in the center and the NHIS, we want to aggregate all these small pools across all the states so that any person, any number of people that are covered in any local government across this country, the numbers are transmitted to us so that we will report to Nigerians for this money that was allocated into this fund, we have covered this many Nigerians. Because like you said, universal healthcare coverage is about how many more Nigerians have you covered.
And that's the only way I want to be remembered if I leave this chair. How many more Nigerians have you given access to? And we cannot say that without definite numbers that are biometrically supported. So we're very excited. And this government needs to be applauded for the political commitment of committing this much money into the fund. We are hoping and praying that this fund will outlive all of us and it will grow and continue to cover our people. And this is the only way we'll start seeing the needle of coverage of the informal sector in our Nigeria. Thank you all very much.
Can we appreciate him the more, please?
Sorry, let me make a clarification. I think the context of that policy brief was a policy brief made to inform the budget before the budget was passed. So we actually affirm that the government had made that. So let it not be that we want to make a good deal. So I think that was what happened.
Okay, thank you, the director, for that clarification. We'll move to the next segment of this activity, which will be to hear from the aspirants themselves. We will come to the general public in a bit, but that will be after we've heard from the aspirants. So what will happen is that we would hear from them. So we'll invite all of you to get down your paper and pen and note down whatever contributions or questions you may have. And so when the forum is given, you'll be able to contribute or ask a question. At this time, I would like to invite to the podium the chairman and presidential aspirants under the platform of African Action Congress in the person of the influential Omolole Sowore. We will clap for him.
Thank you. Take it back. Take it back.
So as he takes his seat, I would like at this time to invite the moderator for this panel. So the moderator would lead the discussion, and the three panelists here seated would have about 10 to 12 minutes each to make their presentation in response to the invitation letter that was forwarded, and also in response to the keynote paper presentation. So allow me to, at this time, invite Dr. Lars Udeze to lead this session. Clap for him, please.
Thank you very much, and once again, welcome to all our presidential hopefuls, as well as the Executive Director of Executive Secretary of National Health Insurance Scheme. Before now, I've made a presentation. I went through a document that highlights the various building blocks of the healthcare system, and that has a lot of data on development issues, especially as it has to do with health, the life expectancy, maternal mortality ratio, infant mortality rate, under 5 mortality rate, healthcare expenditure, proportion of our budget that goes to health, proportion of government health expenditure out of the total health expenditure. So right now, we're going to hear from all our panelists. First, their plan for health. After which, of course, we'll have questions as it relates to the 6 building blocks. So because of time, we're just going to take such plan. I know the party manifesto is usually very detailed, but if we could have like all the panelists respond in not less than 4 minutes each. The most important things, solutions they are bringing in the health sector. So let me, I hope there's someone taking mic to them. Okay, so is there someone taking microphone to them?
Would move. Okay, for them to come to. Okay, feel free.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. So I've been directed to say, in line with the letter that you were given, the 3 presidential aspirants there present will make at least a 10 minutes presentation on their plan for the health sector. So because of the media coverage and their mics that are here, I will crave your indulgence when I call you to come here and make the presentation, after which we'll now go to the question and answer session. So, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Jair Gaskia to come and make his presentation. You're welcome, sir. I think he deserves no applause.
Thank you so much. And standing on the already laid down protocol. So what do we intend to do with health? For us, the most basic and the most foundational thing that is required to do is, first of all, making government work. The basic problem right now is that government and government institutions are dysfunctional. They are not working together. We can hear from what the executive secretary said earlier, that it's just now that some of these institutions are beginning to work together. So the basic thing is that government institutions must work, and must work in synergy. The second thing that is primary for us is that health, like every other basic welfare service in education, housing, energy, power, food and nutrition, should be delivered primarily as public services. Meaning that government and the public sector must play the leading role in the delivery of these public services, these basic services that are now public services. So what this means is that health and education must be a priority of any government. And it therefore means also that public investment must also be directed towards this provisioning these public services. Now, having said that, if you look at the National Health Act, and we don't really lack policies in this country. Part of the challenges is about making the policies work and ensuring that they work together. If you look at the National Health Act and the National Health Insurance Scheme, we have given responsibilities to different tiers of administration, including communities. Now, this is why I say that governance matters, including communities. But we also have a situation where we are putting responsibilities on communities, on education, on health, housing, and yet our communities really have no formal governance systems. So we want to set up a community or ward health development committee that has to rely on reaching out to a legislator somewhere. Whereas there are basic things, primary healthcare issues that communities can handle themselves if they were properly governed and if there was formal community governance. There is also this issue that we all, that everybody wants to hear about, which is the question of what percentage are you going to devote to health? And let me be very clear about this. The problem with the way in which we are going about these percentages is the absence of planning. Because if you plan and you plan well and you have an integrated plan, if you look at all of the 6 core areas of healthcare management and delivery system, personnel training is part of it. Equipment and medical products is part of it. Okay, so what does this tell you? It means that there are education issues in health. There are health issues in education. There are food and nutrition issues in health. There are agricultural issues in health, health issues in agriculture. So if you had a comprehensive national human development plan with your priorities, then it means that you can, and your funding, your investment is also targeted towards making and implementing your plan. Then you are going to be able to cut all of this. Because then you can find, when you look at the education budget, you can find sections of it that are devoted to education in health. You can find sections of it that will be devoted to education for agriculture. You can find sections of it that will be devoted to education for manufacturing, for industrialization, and the rest of that. And when you also look at your health budget, we also find sections of it that will be devoted to, for example, pharmaceutical manufacturing, and the rest of that. So it's when you have such an integrated plan that actually the quantum of money that you invest can have qualitative impact. And that is more important than the actual amount and figures, you know, that we that are going to be spent. So it is more important to have a national and human development plan. And I commit that within the first 100 days, we are going to have a 4-year national human development plan for Nigeria, for the administration. I also know, and it's going to be that integrated. It's going to also include the necessity to reform governance and to retool governance, to retool the state to deliver effective public services. Within the context of this national human development plan would also be the national health care plan. And what will the national health care plan do? The first thing that we should actually even do as a government within the first 100 days is to do an assessment of where we are at the moment, with everything, all of these laws that we are going, that is now going to fall on us to implement, to execute as the executive. Where are we at? What is the status in terms of implementation of policies, of laws, and the rest of that? And then, on the basis of that, develop your plan and your priorities, and also on the basis of that, develop your investment plan so that you can actually direct public investment to what is necessary. Let me tell you one other thing. So it is important that, for example, and also this debate about whether we are going to concentrate on primary health care or secondary health care or tertiary health care, or whether we are going to concentrate on preventive health care or curative health care, is really shouldn't be a mutually exclusive debate. The most important thing to understand is to find out what percentage of healthcare delivery needs to be for primary healthcare, needs to be for secondary healthcare, needs to be for tertiary healthcare, and what percentage needs to be for preventive. Because we would concentrate on preventive, but you also know that there would be necessity for curative. So you cannot say that you are going to, your policy is just preventive and it's not going to be curative. So it's going to be both preventive and curative. It's going to be address primary, secondary, and tertiary health care, But it's going to be on the basis of needs assessment so that we know that this is actually the proportion of the population that needs each one of these type of healthcare delivery. And then finally, just to round up, because I know there will be time for questions. When I talk about the necessity for having an integrated plan, so we are going to focus, for example, on local and indigenous production of equipment and medical products, which means that our health policy must also be integrated with our industrialization policies, and that it must be also integrated with all these other policies, because it is those indigenous Nigerian industries that are also going to be the ones to manufacture these health products and the health equipment that we need, and same with the training of the personnel that is needed. Finally, what we need is to have an idea of what the specifics are within the context of the whole picture, and then be able to plan to address both the whole picture and the specifics. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gaskia. Please, as they are speaking, feel free to write down your questions. When we get to the question and answer session, we are going to read out those of your questions. Thank you so much. He linked health to education when it comes to training issues, capacity building. He also linked it to food and nutrition, which is Greek. So he kind of say it should be a holistic plan. He talked about National Human Development Plan, which, if elected as president, he will sure will have that in his first 100 days, which will include the National Healthcare Plan. I think you should give him another round of applause. Okay, I invite Mr. Sado Matthias, another presidential aspirant, to also come and share his plans in 10 minutes. Welcome.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. The plan for my party and my aspirations as a presidential aspirant is, first of all, we have a very huge challenge in the sector because we currently do not have information about who and who are Nigerians. We don't have information about who and who goes to the hospital. So first step that we intend to embark on is aggressive data collection and data synchronization to ensure that we have an adequate information about what and who we need to plan for in the health sector. It is not possible for us to plan for a country without data. So first task before our government would be to ensure that we get information in that area. We have currently a population about 198 million. We have less than 40,000 doctors who are currently taking care of these people. This is grossly inadequate. And so for that reason, we will pay attention to getting these basics right. The first task after we've been able to sort out the issue of data, we will embark on overhauling of some key hospitals in Nigeria. But first of all, before we go into that, we will ensure that we have the National Assembly to pass a law that would prohibit medical tourism for public office holders. It's not going to be just political promise to say once I become the president of Nigeria, we will not travel abroad for healthcare treatment, for a treatment or whatever. but it will be a law. There will be a law against it that if you are a public office holder, a governor, a president, minister, well, as long as you are a public office holder, you will not have that right to travel outside this country to get medical treatment. Then the second very important thing that we intend to do is to shut down Aso Rock Clinic. I do not think it is necessary for us to have that clinic gulping billions of naira while the National Hospital is just a control from Aso Rock. So I think the President of Federal Republic of, I as the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, we use the same healthcare system, healthcare facilities available to ordinary Nigerians. That is the second thing that we intend to do. Now, we also intend to spend about 1,350 million on 6 federal medical centers in Nigeria. We've identified the fact that currently people keep complaining about the fact that so many things and so many healthcare centers are not working. And that is the basic truth. What we intend to do is to have a model, to have more like a pilot scheme, to have one medical center that would be world class, that will have virtually everything that every other medical center in the world can boast of. So that for once, Nigeria will be able to say we have a complete hospital that is able to produce or that is able to give to the people of this country the kind of healthcare that they deserve. And once we start with that one, we will then be able to go around the country to implement what we have started in one of the, the pilot schemes that we will use. Then the third thing that we need to do is immediately after the overhauling of this, one of the things that the gentleman that was giving the speech spoke about is the fact that 50% of his friends who were here with him in Nigeria, who went to school in Nigeria, who were medical doctors, they're supposed to be in Nigeria hospitals, are currently practicing abroad. This brain drain is absolutely unacceptable. And for us to be able to curb this, what needs to be done is to ensure that we make the environment attractive for them. We have a situation where, as they said, every single week we lose about 7 doctors to foreign countries. A friend called me yesterday and he was talking about 2 of his friends who have received an offer, a mouth-watering offer to work in another country. Because the basics here are not working. He mentioned something about the fact that not only the pay, but even the facilities, the equipment that you need to use to ensure that people who come to the hospital go out smiling are not available. So we will ensure that these are done in the pilot hospitals that we want to start with. We want to start with one. After that, the first one is done, we will embark on another 6 in 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. The moment these ones are done and we are able to attract the millions of Nigerians who are currently practicing outside the country to come back, I believe that we'll be able to kickstart the revolution that we need in the health sector. Then the third or the fourth thing, which is, I'm glad that the secretary, the NHS Secretary General is here. One of the most important things that I also think needs to be done is to ensure that the NHS begin to function adequately, not just to provide inferior, I wouldn't want to use the word inferior, but the kind of drugs that are being provided for the patients or those currently who are using NHIS is not what I think should be. There should be, every single person in this nation should have access to quality healthcare. Everyone should have access to affordable healthcare. Everyone should have access to healthcare that works for every single person. There should not be gap. There should not be inequality in between the people at the lower side of the ladder and the people at the upper side of the ladder, because I have seen organizations who are currently enjoying, who are working with HMOs, who currently get top-notch healthcare services, and I've seen how patients or people, the clients of NHIS are treated in the hospitals. You go to the hospital, they tell you this is for NHIS and this is for a private patient. I think that is not acceptable. We should look for a way to bridge that gap and ensure that every single Nigerian is able to have access to quality healthcare provision. Then, the moment we are able to achieve this, I believe that we will be on our way to go, and I believe that the moment we are able to achieve this, we will be able to make progress as a country. The last and the most important thing that needs to be done in that sector is to deal with corruption. We have healthcare sector that has been bedeviled by corruption. We have a system that is currently not working because the people who are supposed to, we have entrusted with our lives, are people who are not honest, who are not dealing honestly with the people of this nation. So very importantly, we will deal with corruption in that sector and ensure that we deploy technologies and have transparent ways of getting every single penny that is voted into that sector to achieve whatever it is that it has been apportioned to achieve. I believe we need to have these 4 items I have listed working. The moment these are done, our healthcare sector will be among one of the best in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matthias. The last 10 minutes is said it's going to prioritize data to get some, use data, accurate data to plan. So he also said it's going to prohibit medical tourism. The National Health Act 2014 kind of provided a condition that has to be met before a public officer has to go outside. Whether it's being implemented, I don't know. But it will require the approval of the Minister of Health, who is going to write to say that this person has this health condition and he cannot be treated in Nigeria. So I'm giving approval for the person to go out for public officers, not because we are using taxpayers' money. For any private individual, nobody tells you where to go. So the National Health Act provides for that. Whether it's being practiced, I don't quite know. But it's also important for us to know that there is a bill currently at the National Assembly being sponsored by Honorable Sejos Ogun from Edo State that is seeking to outrightly ban medical tourism by public officers. So that bill has passed second reading earlier this year, and it was referred to Committee on Health. Why this information is important is the action is already on, so people who are interested in making that happen can become advocates. When it comes to the public space, then there could be more action. Of course, some honorable members said that it violates the fundamental human rights of the public servants if you ban them from going outside. So it's a debatable issue. So depending on which side of the divide you are. So thank you so much, Mr. Matthias. I also have the privilege of inviting another presidential aspirant, who incidentally they will be making a public launch of his political party today. I think his party is one of the 23 new parties that INEC announced his registration yesterday. So Mr. Amoyele Sowore,
Take
come
it back.
in 10 minutes.
Take it back. Take it back. Take it back. Take it back. Take it back.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I want to thank the organizers of today's event for inviting us to share with the public our head plans for 2019 and beyond. And it's great to see the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Health, the NHIS. I didn't know that he had come back to his position. The last time I covered, he was fighting over the minister and him were fighting over when to resume back to work, and the size of the allowances in the place is part of the problem. But let me say here that our health issues are very, very serious issues. And the first thing we must do in Nigeria is to determine the health of our leaders first and foremost. And I would propose that all of the presidential aspirants that are coming or candidates that will come to Nigeria in 2019 must first disclose their real health conditions to the Nigerian public. Because without a healthy leader, you cannot have a healthy country. Our president, as we speak, is vacationing in the UK, where he's taking treatment. This is his second vacation within 6 months. A ghost worker should not go on vacation, but our president is always on vacation. And it's because the president is sick. And the country, as a result, is also sick. So we must know first and foremost the health of our leaders, from presidents to governors to councillors, so that we understand if we are on the same page as citizens, if we are equal before the law, and if we are equal in terms of receiving health care. Not only has our president, for example, received health care in the UK almost extensively in the last 3 years, but his son has also received health care in some of the best hospitals in Germany, whereas the rest of us have been sentenced to the death centers that they call hospitals in this country. Unlike Matthias, I will not close down the Aso Rock Clinic, but it would be great to considering if we can convert Aso Rock to a hospital, not a place where people are living, because it's too big for the president of Nigeria needs that many places to sleep in one night. Those are the things we must be considering. Is how to cut the waste in governance in such a way that places like Aso Rock and so many of these mansions that are built in Abuja can be converted to hospitals where our people can get rich and proper medical care. But in terms of what we want to do, I take it back, and now African Action Congress, which is our new political party, duly registered yesterday, will be launched today at 1 p.m. Our most important promise to you is that you must all have access to health. Access to health means that every Nigerian, wherever you might find yourself, should be able to get health care regardless of whether you are rich or poor. And that access will be driven by the fact that we must also know and register people in this country to have health cards. And it could be either that the government is subsidizing you or you are contributing to it. The NHIS, as we know it today, is just like every other government agency in Nigeria, where they are more interested in organizing conferences and buying tickets for the minister and jostling over how much money can be moved there for political reasons or the other. I have been a reporter before now, you all know. I cover all of these corrupt activities that are happening in Abuja. Abuja is a cesspool of corruption, and everybody knows that. And without getting rid of the corrupt individuals who are managing our institutions, we are wasting our time. Without voting them out, making them lose appointments. When the healthcare and the NHIS scandal was going on, a lot of documents were passed to us. They weren't interested, honestly, in any healthcare. The minister was fighting the secretary, or the secretary fighting the minister over how much to go into, how much to spend in buying tickets. The Minister of Health, in one of the documents we had, spent millions in hiring a jet to travel between here and Sokoto. They were using private jet. Yes! The man is here. I know he has his ear blocked. He's not paying attention. You know, public officers are supposed to pay attention to this. You see, he's not paying attention to us. This is part of the problem. You know? Secondly, we must have a well-organized, am I right? He's not here with us. That's the executive secretary. He's busy on his laptop. No, it's serious. He's supposed to represent us here. Yes.
Action! Take it back!
We also must have universal healthcare in this country, and I'm not mounting universal healthcare for the sake of it. It's that universal healthcare must ensure that Nigerians get healthcare wherever they are. And I'm saying it that Nigeria can afford universal healthcare for its own people. What we need to do is to redirect our resources to the people. There is no reason why all Nigerians are paying senators who are useless to us 13.8 million naira every month as allowances, and we cannot afford to immunize our children. We cannot afford to create a sick bay in every primary school. We cannot afford to create a sick bay in every secondary school. We cannot afford insurance system for our people. These are things that we must institutionalize. And it is not expensive, because the moment you have it in a contributory manner, the money will be stacking up, and the moment you don't allow public officials to filter them away, you can use it to take care of your people. The third thing is emergency services. We have 0 emergency services in this country, and that's how most people die. If you were to drive between Lokoja and Abuja, I'm not saying from Lagos to Abuja, when people have accidents, nobody take care of you. But in other places, even in countries that just ended war a few years ago, like Rwanda, if you have an accident, if nobody can take care of you right there, a helicopter will be flown to fly you or fly people out of the place. In Nigeria, we don't have those kind of care. When you are in danger, you can't have a number to call, and nobody will come to you until you die. In fact, sometimes after you die, nobody will come and remove your body from where you are. The third, of course, is to pay attention to immunizing our kids. This is very, very important. It's not something to be politicized. It's not something to be ethnicized or religionized, as we have made it. Now, it's very important that kids are allowed to grow up. You have realized that an average Nigerian man is only able to live 54 years in this country. An average Nigerian woman is lucky to live 1 year older than most men. The implication is that the Nigerian state, which was created in 1960, is older than most Nigerians. That's the implication. Because why? Our health system started degenerating since independence. And at this point, it's almost nil. That is why those who are wasting their time calling for banning of politicians not to go for medical treatment abroad, they are wasting your time. If they cannot go for medical treatment abroad, they will bring medical treatment into Nigeria secretly. Even President Buhari, apart from traveling to London, he has people who come in here secretly that are flown in on a regular basis to come and take care of him, to pump him up, so that they can make him look like he's healthy, whereas he's not. So you can only ban them from going outside. How do you ban them from importing medical care into the country? So the best thing is to make medical facilities available to all in this country, invest in them, so that they themselves will go. Even a former governor of Akwa Ibom, what's his name, Akpabio, he once claimed that he had the best hospital in Akwa Ibom. When he had an accident in Abuja, where did he fly to? He flew to London because they knew they were lying to you. The other issue is for us to also start thinking technologically, digitally. There is a room for telemedicine in our lives. Some of the doctors who have traveled out of this country, Nigerians, they are willing to treat Nigerians, but they are not ready to come back home yet because of our kidnappers, armed robbers, our SARS, and all of the ways through which you can die, including the highway system. But so many of them are ready that we can have a situation where somebody is sick, you text your problem or symptoms to a number, and you get response from a doctor who is not based in Nigeria. It's called telemedicine. Why are we not thinking progressively about how to harness people who are not willing to come home, while we prepare the country for them to return to when they are ready? So we must attract our best to come back home by creating conditions for people to return home. There is no way any Nigerian doctor is coming back to Nigeria the way it is. Nigeria hospitals and Nigeria airports are the reason why you never come back home. The moment you arrive at the airport, the kind of reception you receive at the airport shows that Nigeria is not ready for anybody who is willing to work for Nigeria. and they keep making Nigeria worse and worse every day, and they distract your attention with the most stupid things. Who invaded the National Assembly, who did not, they want you to take sides with them, but at the end of the day, these guys are going to unite against the rest of us, they resolve their differences, they will tell you that they are big brothers and sisters, and that they only have small misunderstandings that they've been doing forever. What I was saying here is that we have to link our healthcare system with our own agenda, which is spelled out in Spicer Hill. Security, power. Without electricity, you cannot have good health care. That's the truth. Even to sleep properly at night for 8 hours is so important to your health that when you are denied of that, you will degenerate in health. Without infrastructure, you can't have good health care. So I told somebody that if Obama contested in Nigeria, when he contested in the US, he would have broken his back just by traveling between Jalingo and Yola. Because the roads are so bad, without building infrastructure, we can't have health. And without health, we definitely can't have wealth in this country. I've been told that my time is up. I will have more time to reach out to you Nigerians whenever you want to listen to new leaders. People who have ideas, not people who have analog brains, people who are dying and on the departure land of life, who are wasting your time, your energy and resources on taking care of themselves and their diseases and their families. You have to get rid of them. It's the solution to Nigeria's problem. Thank you very much.
Take it back! Action! Take it back! Action!
Thank you very much, Mr. Sowore, presidential aspirant on the platform of African Action Congress. So he's been able to tell us that he wants all aspirants, and he's going to ensure that we have universal health coverage because he thinks Nigeria can afford it. He also talked about having sick bays in primary and secondary schools, telemedicine, emergency services. So for this first panel, ladies and gentlemen, we will be focusing on the presidential aspirants, and of course, we wouldn't want to give mics because some people may use 3 minutes to recognize protocols. So put it in writing, I'll read it out here to the aspirants and they will respond to it. So while you are doing that, I'll ask specific questions and I'll be needing specific answers. They've talked about a whole lot of things, but we want to get some commitments that we can hold them accountable if they get elected, and those are things we can measure. So one of the building blocks of the health system is healthcare finances, and this year 3.9% of our annual budget was dedicated to health, and that's against 15% that we made a commitment in 2001 that we are going to be putting that amount to health. So may I ask our presidential aspirants, if you are elected president, and when we talk about health, is whole encompassing for the health sector, what proportion of the total annual budget are you going to dedicate to health? So let me start from Mr. Sowore that is next to me.
When we did our research online about what Nigerians want most from government, health came as #1. And I do not see any reason why we should invest less than 15% of our national budgets into health. So we're starting, that's for me the starting point. And we should not go below any of the major African countries that are investing the same amount of money from their budget. So starting point is 15%, not worse.
Well, I think for me, the first thing that I need us to look at is currently we're spending about 400 billion naira on medical tourism in Nigeria. Now that on its own is far more than the 15%, or is far more than 15% we are looking at in terms of healthcare allocation. Now, I think what we need to first of all do is to be able to actually get the systems here working and then redirect all these resources towards building and making this environment attractive. The amounts of money we are calling 15% allocation to healthcare in Nigeria as it is today, we are talking about allocation of 15% of about 25 billion naira, $25 billion, where South Africa, with a population of less than 50 million people, is budgeting $150 billion for their population. So if you are allocating 15% of 25% and $25 billion, you're really not allocating anything substantial to the healthcare sector. What we need to do is, how do we improve on income generation? How do we channel the right kind of amount of resources to healthcare? Pegging it at 15%, I think it's not really okay for me, considering what we currently have as budget per year.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to, my responses are always going to be plan-based. You need to have a plan. You need to be able to cost the plan before you say this is how much you are going to spend. Because if you simply just put the money is not always the problem. So if you just simply put the money, you might just be putting money in a leaking basket. You know, so for me, if you look at the document, and I commend the center for this document that has been provided, it will really provide a guide. If you look at it and you look at page 2, and you look at all of those indicators, those are the basic indicators for measuring, you know, the state of health of a nation and of a people. So what any responsible government should do, and that is what a government that I lead will do, is to look at these indicators. And within the context of our national health care plan, which is a 4-year plan, say to ourselves, how much money would we need if we set ourselves targets to move from point A to point B over 4 years? So if life expectancy is 54% and we want to get to 60%, how much money do we need to move to 60%? That's the target we have set for ourselves. You know, if probability of dying from CVD is 22.5%, do we want to reduce it to 10%? You know, and how much will it cost to do that? And so when you have all of that as elements, so for us, this will be our indicators, and they will guide how we cost the investment that we need to make in health. And I will end this by saying this. You see, I have done a calculation of all the international agreements that we have signed that include percentages, that include committed percentages of the national budget. And I found out that there is simply no way, if you are going to fulfill all of that you are going to actually govern. So education is 27%, agri is 10%, and you have all of these various percentages. So if it is just about percentages, you are not going to govern. It is about the quality of the investment that you want to make, the quality of the issues that you want to address. That's what is going to guide us in putting the cost to this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I had expected a direct answer. I would say, okay, like he said 15%, the other one would say, okay, at least 20% or at least 10%. But the 15% is over ₦1 trillion by our current budget. And it's not even enough if you do the needs assessment in the area of TB, HIV, cancer, and all that. 15% definitely will not be enough, no matter how well it's managed. So just providing that information that when you do your needs assessment, and what the amount we require to definitely be more than that. A lot of questions are coming up, and one has to do with data. It's directed at Mr. Matthias, who said, I talked about data collection and all that. So why not do the data collection now? Is it that you don't believe in the current data we have? As an aspirant, to collect those data, do your analysis and have idea of what you want to do. Why do you want to start collecting the data when you become president and not to work with the current data we have?
It's not like, thank you very much. It's not like we're not going to work with the current data. But what we intend to establish is what we call national data bank. Now, basically what we are saying is that all of these information be collected and be put in one place where we can say that now, this is the data for virtually every single citizen in this country. Then I mentioned data synchronization. We have data scattered around. We have data in banks, we have data in telecoms, we have in FRS, we have in different places. What we're saying is all of these should be synchronized into one so that we can have what we call national data bank, and it will help us in planning. Basically, that's what I mean by data collection.
Okay, thank you so much. Just to let us know that we have the DHIS2, which is the National Data Bank for Healthcare Data. It's a software where data are reported from every health facility in the country, and it captures a whole lot of our health data. So we can actually make it better and have everybody report to that. One of the issues is that a lot of private hospitals don't quite report their data on that platform, and it's something that needs to be fixed. Innovative financing for health. Mr. Sowore, you talked about 15% will be your starting point. Then, and there's this question of, yes, the budget is good to be there, we have the resources, we know how the revenue comes, we know that some reforms might take time before it begins to bring revenue. So what innovative ways do you think you are going to mobilize the resources that is required to start from the 50% as mentioned?
Thank you very much. When I mentioned 50%, it's important to make clarification once again that starting point. We're looking at the budget of Nigeria, which stands at about 8 trillion naira right now. If you're spending 1 trillion or more on health, you have other sectors that is in need of investment. But when it comes to innovation, is to allow participation in our healthcare system from those who know how to do it. And we have a lot of our citizens who are out there who want to come back and invest, some of them even voluntarily, who are not getting the necessary encouragement and support from government, because government in this town is a body. Government is useless. Government doesn't help people who have innovative ideas. They don't encourage people who want to do good. Government is only interested in cheating and robbing the public. That's the problem. There are a lot of people who are out there, and I don't need to take you too far. They are coming to Ghana. They are coming to Rwanda to use innovation in delivering healthcare. You must have read about Rwanda, that now in Rwanda they are delivering blood by drones. So they can send a drone that is programmed to send blood to Anambra State from Abuja. And the drone will go and drop the blood in the most remotest part of town and come back to where it was sent from. But Nigeria, we don't even have helicopters that can do that. We don't have medical services that can deliver that. And there are people who have the understanding of how this could work. You guys know that a Nigerian that is based in the US is able to take a baby out of the womb, fix the brain of the baby or whichever part of the baby is not doing well, put the baby back and the baby will be born perfectly. But invite that guy to come to Nigeria today, he will never honor such an invitation. Because he knows that our leaders are not interested in those kind of innovation. Probably even if he arrives here, they'll kill him at the airport. So we have to have a government that is receptive. Like I said, we need digital leadership in this country. You cannot have these analog guys running your system and you expect to be talking about innovation. You should not be using innovation or innovative ideas in the same sentence as the leadership we have in Nigeria today that is derelict and completely analog. So we have to change the leadership first before we can be having this kind of conversation. Otherwise, we'll be talking above their heads.
Thank you. I think that we really focus on the issues, and also that when we talk about the leadership, we also have some digital persons who are within the system, and they are making little changes at their various locations. I will get to the ES of NHIS because there are some data we expect we'll get from him that will help the aspirants in responding to questions around universal health coverage. So human resources for health is a key issue, and we have data on how insufficient they are and how the environment is not very conducive for them. And in recent past, we've seen a whole lot of strike and interprofessional rivalry among health workers. It's either the doctors are on strike, when they finish, Johesu will start their own. Mr. Gaskia, if you are elected president, I had a number of patients who were being treated for cancer, and the centers that were treating them went on strike, and when they returned, they have to repeat all the tests they've done before. The cancer had already spread, and we lost that patient April this year. So in a way, that interruption in services led to the untimely death. So how do you intend, if Nigerians elect you as president, to resolve this issue of frequent withdrawal of services within the health sector?
Thank you very much. Again, this is why because this is a personnel issue that we're discussing now, and it's about human resource management. So it's also about the policy of a government with respect to human resource management in general, not just in the health sector. So what will be our approach? We have said, and our promise is that we're going to have what we call democratic management of the economy and all the sectors of the economy, meaning that each of the sectors of the economy would be oversighted and managed by multi-stakeholder groups. And this will include personnel who are working, the various levels of personnel who are working, owners, the management, and citizens who are the end users of the services that are being, produced. So if you begin on that premise that all the stakeholders are involved in oversighting and management of each of the sectors, then you begin to reduce areas for possible and potential conflict as the time goes on. So this is going to be the focus of our own government. We are going to put such a team together for each of the sectors that will be multi-stakeholder and that will oversight it. And I need to say this very quickly now in 1 minute about innovative ways of financing and the rest of that. The one thing that we can commit to beyond the 15% percentages and the rest of that is to actually say, on the basis of your plan, you have these 5 priority areas, and then begin to talk about what percentages of the consolidated revenue fund would be, charged first line to each of those things. So for health care, for example, education is already 2%. There's no reason why it should not be more than 2%, for health care. So that's one basic one. Secondly, we're going to also have a special intervention fund, which is to encourage private sector, counterpart, funding and the rest of that. And then we are going to encourage what we call public-public partnerships. So different public institutions are going to be collaborating so that they can share costs and minimize what needs to be done. And then, of course, we need to have progressive taxation. There's absolutely no way you want to correct the imbalances in this country without progressive taxation, without ensuring that when people put money in banks, that the money does not just lie fallow. I'm going to introduce a policy where if you have more than 1 billion naira in your account, it is going to be taxed by more than 25% if it is not in an investment. Because we need to start making money work for us and deliver the services that we need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sowore will be taking his leave in the next few minutes because they are launching their party today, and he have told us that earlier. But before he leaves, there is this question specifically for him. We got from the audience. And more than one person have put up that question about what's the place of traditional medicine. So, and it's not just to him, but we'll allow him to respond to it. The place of traditional medicine and herbs, as we discussed the health sector.
I think we have to understand that most medical inventions are traditional. They start from somewhere. You know, the tablets you're drinking, so many of the things that are refined and look nice to us, they are extracts from trees, from matters that are dug from underground, and we happen to have them here. But I don't think we should be asking their place, but how we can regulate them and use them in a ways that are not harmful. I grew up in a village, and I can tell you that I was not injected with anything until I was about 15 years old, when I had something that was similar to tetanus. But I had plenty of malaria. I had several other things. My mom had babies 11 times. Never went to a hospital. Never had a C-section because of traditional medicine. But the truth is that the traditional medicine practitioners had not been assisted in a way that they can understand what works and what doesn't work. And when they die, there's no transfer of the technology they have, what I call, local intelligence, in creating the kind of medicine that is helping us, even till today, to run our rural areas. Our heavy reliance on injection, for example, is mental. Since I've been in the US, nobody ever injected me with anything. But in Nigeria, if you go to see a doctor, he will inject one side of your buttock and ask you to bring the other side tomorrow, as if injection is what is going to make you feel well. It is not. Traditional medicine has its place. We just have to emphasize on ensuring that they are regulated in such a way that they don't abuse it. I grew up in a village, for example, again, where people will say if you put some roots inside alcohol, it will make you well. It is not the root that makes you well, it's the alcohol. The potency of the alcohol that makes you feel okay after you drank it and you are sweating. And the moment people are sweating, they feel like their malaria is gone. The malaria hasn't gone anywhere. It's the alcohol that triggered a lot of reactions within your system that is making you sweat. So it's to understand that accurately, and I'll pay huge attention to that, because that can help to contribute to even global medicine. One last thing I will say, and I'm going to say it's very controversial here, is we have to start taking care of our weed, Igbo, such that we can also contribute to the GDP of the world, of people who have some of the best weed in the world are grown in Ekiti State. And I'm very serious. And people are making billions out of that particular product, that particular plant that is very potent in Nigeria. We should be focusing on it. Our NDLA should get this notice memo in advance that Nigeria will be exporting weed to cure cancer in other parts of the world, instead of chasing after people who are growing weed. Whereas they are not chasing after our politicians who are smoking cocaine in their houses. So that's my last word, and I know this one is controversial, but if you want to hear more from me about it, I will discuss it after our party. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sowore, for taking up that note. And I think we'll just do final one round of questions for the other candidates. But before then, we'll get the ES, the Executive Secretary of...
You can come to the office if you want to talk to me, please. I don't have time. When I was talking, he didn't pay attention to me. You want to talk to me?
So the Executive Secretary of NHIS, who while he has got this position, is one of our top professionals, professor in the United States, top legal practitioner. So, one house let me speak out and put to go behind the screen to ask the service for God. Okay, so, since Nigeria's buying a home at the moment, how many persons are covered by health insurance? So, by doing the number, those who are running for office will now be saying, when they get it from the hospital, when we say no, they need 10 million, we are going to pay like 100 million, 200 million.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, show it to Russia. Let me give you my card. I'm still in Abuja till Friday. When? Radio Nigeria next week. When? 7 a.m. tomorrow. Okay. I'll call you. Okay. Give me. Okay, good. It's 1 o'clock today, right? Yes. Okay. You ready?